Now next we will take an example of how actually L3 routing is done. Now let us say that, so suppose we have a 4-node topology as shown in the diagram. Our source router is virtual machine VM, that is, it is our source machine, and we want to ping or send data to the machine VM3. So we want to ping an IP address 192.168.5.2 from virtual machine VM. On the left hand side, we have shown the routing table of all the routers. So these routing tables are configured in a way that every machine is reachable from every other machine. And we have already discussed the meaning and how these routing table entries have been configured. Against each router, there is an ARC table, which is already fully populated. So we will start from the point when the routing table and the ARC table of all the routers in the network are fully populated. And our example is that on the machine VM, from the machine VM, which is a source machine, we want to send a data packet to the destination IP address 192.168.5.2, which is actually the IP address of the local interface of VM3. So basically, we are trying to see what happens in the network when the communication happens from VM to VM3. So we will discuss, or we will go through the steps. So the router VM wants to send data packet to the machine which has destination IP address 192.168.5.2. VM checks if the destination IP resides to one of its local subnet. In this case, destination IP belongs to the remote subnet. And what is that remote subnet? The remote subnet is subnet 3. So VM checks its routing table and search for a destination subnet, which hosts destination IP. In this case, entry 1 is picked up, that is this entry. Now VM knows that it has to send the packet to gateway, that is next hop 192.168.4.1, and the outgoing interface is Ethernet 2. Where from this information came? This information came from the route lookup done by the router VM in its local routing table. The key for looking up the route in the routing table is the destination IP address, which is 192.168.5.2. VM now look up its ARC table using 192.168.4.1 as a key to know the next hop MAC address, which is actually MB. So it gets this information from the ARC table. And why it is looking up in the ARC table using IP address 192.168.4.1? Because this IP address is the IP address of the next hop, that is the neighbor. So VM now prepares the packet and sends the packet out of the interface Ethernet 2. So what is the packet content? The source MAC address, which is the MAC address of the outgoing interface, the destination MAC address, which is the MAC address of the peer interface, and the source IP is 192.168.4.2, which is the IP address of the interface leaving the source router. And remember, this IP address, that is the source IP address and destination IP address, never changes throughout the journey of the packet. And of course, the destination IP address is the user input which we want to ping or which we want to reach. Now, in step 6, VM1 receives the packet. Ethernet layer checks if the destination MAC is equal to MAC address of the receiving interface. In our example, this condition is satisfied. So VM1 chop off the Ethernet header and hand over the packet to the network layer. So VM1's network layer checks whether destination IP in the packet belongs to any of its local subnet. And it does that by doing a route lookup. In this case, no. Then VM1 further checks the routing table and search for a destination subnet, which hosts the destination IP address. In this case, entry 1 is picked up. So VM1, this entry actually meets the criteria. So router VM1 now knows that it has to send the packet to the next hop router with a gateway IP address 192.168.1.2, that is this IP address, and the outgoing interface is Ethernet 3. VM1 now look up its ARP table using next hop IP address 192.168.1.2 as a key to know the next hop MAC address, which is actually empty. So the router VM1 looks up its ARP table and fetches the entry MD. So VM1 now prepares the packet and sends the packet out of the interface Ethernet 3. So when the packet leaves the router VM1, the content of the Ethernet header and the IP header looks like this. The source MAC address is MC, the destination MAC address is MD, the source IP and destination IP address remains unchanged. Going further, VM2 receives the packet. So VM2 finally receives the packet. Ethernet layer checks if the destination MAC address is equal to MAC address of the receiving interface. This condition is again true. VM2 data link layer chops off the Ethernet header and hand over the packet to the network layer as usual. So VM2's network layer checks whether destination IP in the packet belongs to any of its local subnet. In this case, yes, destination IP belongs to subnet 3, which is actually a local subnet with respect to our router VM2. So now VM2 will deliver the packet to VM3 using L2 routing only. So at this point, the packet has reached to a subnet to which the packet was destined. So once the packet is in its local subnet, the packet will be delivered to the actual receiver of the packet using L2 routing. At this point, the job of L3 routing is over. So VM2 look up its ARP table using destination IP address 192.168.5.2 as a key to know the next hop MAC address, which is actually MF. That is this entry. VM2 now prepares the packet and sends the packet out of the interface Ethernet 2. So when the packet leaves the router VM2, the content of the packet is as follows. The source MAC address is ME, the destination MAC address is MF, and the source IP and the destination IP address remains unchanged. So eventually, VM3 receives the packet. Ethernet layer checks if destination MAC address is equal to the MAC address of the receiving interface. Again, this condition is true. The Ethernet layer chops off the Ethernet handler and hands over the packet to the network layer. VM3 network layer checks whether destination IP in the packet belongs to any of its local subnet. Now, in this case, the condition is true because the destination IP belongs to the subnet 3. This condition was also true in case of router VM2 because the router VM2 and VM3 shares the same local subnet. VM3 also checks that destination IP in the packet exactly matches to the IP of one of its local interface, which is Ethernet 2. What is the IP address of the interface Ethernet 2 on router VM3 192.168.5.2, which is actually the destination IP address which I am trying to ping. So VM3 now knows that the packet was destined to itself. VM3 chops off the network layer header and delivers the rest of the packet to the transport layer. So transport layer eventually processes the packet. So in this case, the source MAC address, destination MAC address, source IP and destination IP is not relevant because the router VM3 do not forwards the packet any further. It consumes the packet. So these are the steps which happens when the data travels over the layer 3 network. So we have just discussed what are the steps involved when a data actually travels through the layer 3 network. It is layer 3 network. Why it is layer 3 network? Because all the machines that are involved in this network are routers, which is L3 routers. And we have just discussed what are the steps which are followed when data travels from one router to another router. So in our case, the source router was VM and the destination router was VM3. So I have found one YouTube video. This is the best video that I could find for you on the internet. Watch the video again and again. Note the word again and again. You should watch this video again and again until you can explain this video to a friend without any second thoughts. The reason for doing this that whatever is explained in this video, that is, this video is an assemble of L2 routing and L3 routing in one go. And whenever you will appear for interviews in the networking company, you will be asked to explain this video only. Right? So you should watch this video again and again and try to understand that how the tables, the arc table and routing tables are populated and how those tables are used to forward the packet from source to destination. So you can easily play this video. I have shared the YouTube link for this video. So once again, I am emphasizing that watch this video again and again until each and every concept of L2 routing and L3 routing is crystal clear in your mind. Because explaining the L2 routing and L3 routing, basically explaining how the packet traverses in the network from source machine to destination machine, is actually a very pet question for the interviews. The interviewer directly asks you to, hey, explain me the routing. That's it. Now, how much you know the routing, it's up to you. How much you can explain to the interviewer and how much knowledge you can actually express to the interviewer. So that's all about routing.